Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm here today with Marika Lyszczyk, and someone I'm very excited to talk to. She is playing baseball at Riviera University, something that not a lot of females are doing, if any. So Marika, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to talk to you about how that experience has been, but how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Give the people, the viewers, a little bit of history on just growing up. You're in Vancouver. You grew up in Vancouver, so playing baseball in Canada. What was that like, and what was the baseball scene like growing up for you?
So, growing up, I actually played both baseball and softball. And I
Hmm.
got to a point like around grade 7 where I don't know what it was. I wasn't good at softball, and I just happened to be like a little bit better at baseball, and like I was standing out a little bit better there. And at that time there was not a lot for girls, but my mom figured like we'll just keep you in it, and we'll see where it kind of goes. And everybody always told me like you'd never make it to the next level. You'll never make it to the next level. And I was always like thinking or wanting to go play college. Um, but at the time, nobody was really catching in college. So I thought I was always going to have to switch over to being a pitcher. And when I went to this MLB showcase, MLB Grit, it was for all like females, and it was in Texas. And a scout, Jeremy Booth with Program 15, he noticed me there, and he asked me if I wanted to play college baseball. And I was like, yeah, like this has been my dream for the longest time. And he asked me, or I asked him, I was like, for pitching, right? And he was like, oh, absolutely not. And I was like, oh, what? He was like, yeah, I think you can do it for catching. So that kind of having one person tell me that that was possible, it kind of just totally changed my mindset of like what I could do. So he helped me out with getting to where I was. But growing up, my town was super, super small, and we have like one baseball team. And if we were on the all-star team, you were on the all-star team. It was like a summer thing. And eventually at the end of grade 7, I decided I wanted to pursue catching, and I had a chance to go play AAA as a second baseman pitcher kind of thing, and I rejected. I declined to go catch at in house baseball, or what you'd call single A or whatever it is. And I ended up getting picked up from there by the PBL, which is basically like our like elite, like you could say like travel team for Canada, because we don't have high school baseball teams here. Um, and then ever since then, I played with that team for 5 years, and I got picked up out of there.
Wow, very interesting. A little bit different than the United States, like travel ball, youth travel ball circuit, where there's tournaments all the time and stuff. We were talking earlier, and you said you actually played with some pretty high caliber players,
Yeah.
right? I mean, people that went to, you were saying Oregon State, LSU. What was it like playing with those guys before they're in college? Like, were you competing with them? Were you right there with them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely got me a few times because they're pitchers, but we battled. Definitely, there was some battles there, and it's pretty cool to see because one of the players, I actually got to see him play at one of the World Elite Showcase in Boston while I was there visiting my school. So I got to see him play against some of the best like in the world and in the U.S. So I was like, I played against him. Like, pretty cool.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Texas, and you traveled to Texas. Where else in the states have you traveled to play? What showcases have you done?
I did the Diamondbacks scout. I was on the Diamondbacks scout team for Canada, or like BC, and we went down to the Arizona Fall Classic, I think it
Hmm.
was, wood bat tournament. So I was in that when I was in grade 10, I think.
Oh wow. So you've been
Yeah.
in all the major ones.
Yeah, I mostly went to, I tried to get into all the places where all the other guys were going. I'd be like, if you're going to that showcase, like I'm going to that showcase.
That's exactly, you get the competitive juices flowing. That's how it happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you commit to Riviera, you get signed there, and you're going in, you're catching. Like, walk me through what that experience was like, because I got to imagine it was really awesome for you to be able to accomplish something that you were wanting to do for a long time. But there's got to be a lot of challenges that go with it too, right?
For sure. There's always the people that don't want to see you get there, but just makes the victory that much sweeter for me, I'd say. Um, I decided like I'm very hard on myself when it comes to like baseball wise and like the way I perform behind the plate. So I knew that going up to the next level, it was definitely going to be a challenge for me because I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of thing. So I started looking at little victories. And I think some of the guys on my team thought I was a little crazy because they would be all upset when they'd hit a ball and they'd whatever get thrown out or whatever. I'd come off the bench, I hit a hard ball, I'd come off and yes, I don't care about the stats. Like this is my stats. I kind of made up my own statistics in my head. It would be like if I hit the ball hard out of these times, like I was doing good. Like and like looking at like the small victories of like I blocked that ball nice. I threw that ball to second perfectly. Like looking at the like the smaller details instead of like the big picture of like I'm hitting this, I'm hitting that. Like and that definitely made me succeed a lot better. Like I statistically played better in college than I did in high school.
Really?
Yes,
You think it was a mindset adjustment?
for sure. Because
Yeah.
I got a lot of people telling me going in there, don't expect to be perfect. Like it's going to be one of the hardest things you do. And like, don't expect it to just come to you. So I went in thinking like I wasn't going to do well, like kind of thing, and then built up from there. And then I was slowly was like, okay, I have this. And now like build the building blocks slowly would come together, and like just the small victories definitely made my time at school a lot better. And
It's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that because in the big leagues, the guys that focus on their average or how many home runs they hit generally don't perform nearly as well as the people that are focused on the process. I hit the ball hard. I'm on time. My swing feels good. Like I prepared my body well to play today. People who focus on that stuff generally tend to perform better over the long haul because they're focused on the things they can control. Like you said, you hit a ball hard, it goes right to someone. You can't really control that. So you kind of stumbled into a pretty elite level mindset. That's pretty awesome to hear.
yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, my one of my first college at bats, I hit a line drive up the first base line, and this guy just happened to make this unreal play, and I was like, of course, like really, it was gonna be my first college hit, and this guy has to make this unreal play. But I was like, you know what? I hit it hard. I was on time. I can never go the opposite way. So now I'm hitting the opposite way. I'm accomplished everything I want to accomplish, and I'm still proving the point that I got up there, I battled, and I hit the ball hard.
What's walk me through like you get on campus, right, and you have fall ball. You go to class. All the stuff that goes in with being a student athlete. You got. I'm assuming you have weights in the morning or like walk me through what the fall was like for you on campus.
So I actually didn't attend the fall because I didn't get my student visa done in time. Like it was like there was some things with my thing I couldn't go. So I started in January. So it was a little bit more different for me.
Hey,
So it
me
was even
too.
like it was a little complicated because everybody knew each other. And I had visited in the fall. And I think in order for this kind of this whole thing to work, like I needed the right team. And this team is unreal. Like they're like, it's like I have like 25 brothers. They're the best. And I have to watch out because they're always watching me. But I think like a regular day for me, it was definitely a grind because I feel like I never adjusted to the time change. And it was like about like 3 hours. And I'd have 8 a.m.s in the morning and I had like sports management. So I'd go and do that. I'm in a psych major though. So I was kind of just like dabbling all around. And then around like 1 to 2, we have catcher specific training. And I'd walk around the gym for an hour in like a crab, kind of like in like different positions to get my legs going. Those ones sucked, but those are good in the long haul. It's like I can't remember what they're called, but you're basically walking in the catcher crouch all around the gym. So my legs got into really good shape. It was definitely like whoa, because after that, then we'd usually have like a lift later on in the day for about an hour and a half, and then we'd get back, study hall usually, other classes. I'd have some time to do my homework, usually go write my papers, and then I'd go eat with my friends, and then we'd have practice around 9 o'clock at night, 45 minutes away.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I think that's the only time the facility was like available for us.
Oh, geez.
So
Okay.
I'd like try not to fall asleep in between like what I was doing. We'd go to the facility, get done around like 11, 12 o'clock, and then drive home. And then I'd have to call my parents and talk to some of my friends because like I barely talked to them at that point, and pack all my stuff up for the next day and run out with my Crocs the next morning at 8 a.m. for my next class.
Geez, so you're getting like
It was
no
definitely
sleep.
jam packed.
Yeah. Wow. So I graduated high school half a year early, and I went to UCLA, and I started in January. So we have a very similar experience there. Some of the things that I found most difficult is normally you would live with other baseball players.
Hmm.
You'd be on the same in the same dorms. You'd go in at the same time. You'd have orientation together. You'd like create this little friend group, and then you'd be together the whole year. Well, when I went in, I got put into a room with no baseball players because there was just you had to find a bed that was available for me to stay in. Did you have a similar experience? What's your living situation like?
Yeah, so I actually got Supreme Living. Personally, I think I had a double, but it was just me. So I like pushed the beds together and made like a king
Oh,
size
that's
bed
nice.
because I mean, a lot of the people that go to my school are nursing majors. So I'm sure me coming in at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, kind of like after I shower, they would not be too happy with that. So I did pay for my own room to like make sure that's that. But the only thing that I struggled with was like on game days, not that I'd ever be late, but it's like the other guys would just like walk in the room, right? But like they would be like pounding on like the one day when we found out that the season was canceled, they didn't tell us that there was any meetings. So I woke up just at a regular time because I had no classes on the Friday. And I thought I heard someone knocking at my door like really hard, but my friends like to annoy me and like wake me up in the morning, so I just ignored it. And I woke up to like 36 calls from my teammates saying that we had a meeting, and they can't walk in or anything like that because it's me. So I guess they just pounded on the door and I ignored it. So I was late for that meeting, but they're
Ah,
like, it's fine because it wasn't like planned. So no one could get me up.
yeah.
But there's definitely
Interesting.
there's definitely some differences. Like I'm kind of jealous the guys get to wear their sweatpants on the bus and I wear my uniform like
Yeah,
3 hours out.
yeah, walk me through some of those differences because I mean, baseball is, you spend so much time in the clubhouse with the guys, right? And there's all sorts of stuff that goes on in there. Guys are in and out of the shower, they're changing uniforms, they're doing whatever guys do. Like, I won't get into that for for all the viewers, but it's a little bit of a different atmosphere in a clubhouse. And like, are you part of that? Do you have your own like separate area? Like, how does that work?
So we play at a really nice field called Historic Holman, and we never actually got to play on it this year because of the whole coronavirus thing, our season getting shut down early. So that's where we have our clubhouse. So we don't have one on campus. So mostly the guys were getting changed like on the bus and then in the dugout. And it's kind of just like a feel situation. Like I show up to the games, like we're 3 hours out and I'm have my stirrups on and I'm wearing my uniform and I show up
Mm-hmm.
ready to go, which kind of sucks. I mean, I sit on the bus for like 3 hours in it and I can't get changed after the game, so I'm sweaty and like just in my gear, especially after catching. And then the guys kind of just like get changed in the dugout or on the bus, and it's kind of just like look the other direction, when it's happening. So I just kind of like I start walking out to the center field or I do something else. Nobody's ever told
Interesting.
me like to like leave or anything like that. I just like it's kind of like a feel thing. Like I've been doing this for so long, it's just kind of like look away, walk away, just when the timing's right. I'm really good at changing within my shirt. Like I can do
Mm.
it under like a second now. With getting like say I have like a long sleeve on underneath and I get really hot, I can like take it off and like put a new one on.
Yeah, I was talking to. I've had quite a few conversations about that exact topic with my agent Rachel because she was a gymnast and so she'd be like changing into her like leotard or out of her leotard as she's like walking to the next class or like whatever the case is.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty interesting. Has that ever bothered you that you have to do something like that or that you can't like be like fully part of just everything that's going on? Like, or is it just something you don't notice now?
Honestly, I've been doing it for so long that it doesn't bother me. It's kind of like something that I've grown up with. So it's just kind of the way it happened. Like in high school baseball, we had a locker room, but I'd come change to the games or I'd get changed in my car prior, or like I'd just go to the bathroom or something like that. It's like not that big of a deal, except for like if my coach goes, "Oh, we're wearing grays today," and I'm wearing
Mm.
whites or something like that, and I'm like, "Well," and then they look at me and they're like, "Okay, never mind. We're just gonna stick with the whites." Like, know that they can't like mess with me. I'm like, that I was asked, I'm like, so what color are we wearing today? Like, we could just wait till like we get to the game. I'm like, no, but like I really need to know. And they're like, oh yeah, like they always forget. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a different thing. And I would say The guys definitely come to me for like different things than the other guys. I would say like they usually talk. We do talk about baseball. I mean, like if I'm warming up a pitcher, we're talking about our game plan, that kind of thing. But if I'm on the bench and like I'm kind of the one they come to when they're having girl problems,
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say,
the wing woman almost. I've set up a ton of dates,
I'm sure.
gotten them out of great deals.
Yeah, that's
So that's kind of like a good thing for them, I guess.
yeah, nice perk. I'm sure you have plenty of attractive friends that they're
Exactly.
interested in, and
I set them up for sure. Uh,
yeah,
I'll never forget. It was like a month into me being there, and they hadn't noticed what they had kind of, there that they could ask me questions. And we were sitting in the van going to practice, and one of the guys was having girl problems, and I had just told him something. And he turned around and he looked at the rest of the guys in the van. He's like, I just realized something. He's like, we have Marika. He's like, we can control the girl game.
that sounds like a very hockey player type thing to say.
Yeah. So I definitely help them on that aspect of things.
How's the social life that goes along with it? I mean, baseball players generally tend to spend the majority of their time together. They go out to parties together. They eat together. All this different stuff that they do. Are you right along with them? Do you find yourself hanging out more with the guys than you do with your girlfriends? Or
So at the time going into school, I didn't really know any girls. So at first, like I only really hung out with my team because that's who I knew and that's who I was with every single day. And I started making like girlfriends or whatever. And it got to a point where it was actually pretty challenging because when they'd get upset when I'd go hang out with my team or like go sit with them, they'd be like, oh, you're ditching us again. And I'd be like, oh, sorry, guys. It's like kind of like the team. So there was definitely like a balance that had to happen of like spending like 70-40 kind of like distributing my time to different places because I know
Mhm.
I still have to have that like female connection or else I have like two different personalities when I'm with the guys and I'm with the girls, so it's hard to like go from one to the other really fast because I'm in the guy mindset and then like going back to the girls like they don't get it sometimes. So
what's the difference there? Like what would you say the main difference between those two mindsets are if you had to describe to someone?
oh uh, I block out a lot when I'm with the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear a lot of things, and like sometimes the guys will say something, and my coach will hear, and they'll be like, "Don't say that," and they'll be like, "Marika, did you hear that?" I'll be like, "No," or like I hear it, and it doesn't bother me anymore because it's like
Yeah.
say things that are like typical guy stuff, but like I don't really hear it. So it's just kind
Yeah.
of like things I change or like things they do, like what guys like burp all the time or whatever. Like with girls, are like, "Ew, that's gross," but like me, I just like I'm there. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like it's just like the different kind of like guy girl thing. Kind of like one of the boys when I'm with them, and then I have to like revert over. So it's a little weird for them because like I won't wear makeup when I'm playing or like anywhere near practicing, like that kind of thing. But then on the weekend, I party with them, so then I look like a regular girl. So it's kind of like different.
Do they yeah, how does that go over with them? I mean, there's locker room talk, which I mean, people talk about it. It's a real thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of not suited for work, so to speak. Um, how's that
I've
like
definitely heard
the
some things that I cannot unhear.
yeah? Do you find yourself having to or like conversations changing when you walk in? Like, have you noticed that people like quiet down or like stop talking about something or not
So
really?
at first, I think that's kind of always what happens is like they don't really feel comfortable with like me being there so much of like talking their like regular boy talk, I'd say. But after like a few like even days, like they could care less if I'm there or not.
Yeah.
And they know like I'm kind of like I'm one of them. It's not like I'm gonna say anything to anyone else. So
Yeah.
I've
And
just
then
kind of grown up with it. So
when you go out with them, and I'm sure you dress up and go out, you have a good time. Do you find that like do they treat you differently when you're out than when you're at the field, or is it just pretty much the same?
it's pretty much the same. It's like I'm their little sister, so watch out.
Yeah.
Uh, I definitely it's like they're always looking out for me, which is awesome. They're actually the best. They're like after parties, like they always make sure I get back to my dorm safe, and every other girl. Like the baseball team at my school is like awesome. They're super good, but they've never really treated me differently. Like I hang out with them, like they hang out and they look at me the same when I wear makeup. So it's kind of a little bit different though, because they see
Yeah.
me in both aspects. Like they know that I'm a super girly girl, but I also like to get like dirty. Like I don't care, mud, anything. Like I'll be down. Like I'm gonna work my ass off for that team.
Yeah. That's interesting. Walk me through some of the things that you do kind of away from baseball. What are some of your hobbies? I mean, you mentioned being a girly girl. Are you like
Yes.
into dresses and shoes and all that type of stuff, or what does
I
that
do
entail?
like shopping. I do like shopping. I really like makeup because it's kind of an artistry. I'm not the
Hmm.
best at painting, but I like to do like makeup looks and stuff like that. So I'll do that for my friends. And I'm really into like guitar and singing, so I do that too. Um, yeah,
What
but
kind of
basically,
genre?
like indie pop slash I love country music. So
Okay.
yeah,
Who's favorite country artist? Who are you going with?
right now Morgan Wallen. He's
Morgan Wallen.
good. Yeah,
I'm a big metal fan. I don't know too much about country, so I too like
I
guitar,
do.
but in a little different way.
I'm kind of like it depends. Like if I'm going to the game, like I'm kind of more rap, like pop, kind of like get me going. But like after games, if I want to like unwind, it's like country.
Hmm.
Like reflect on like how the game went, like what I can do better next time.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. I like kind of hip hoppy stuff or metal before the game, and then afterwards it's kind of like summery. Like I don't even
Vibes.
know what the yeah I don't even know
Good
what the
vibes.
genre is. Yeah, I try to search it. Like okay, I like this song and it sounds kind of like this, and I'll spend 30 minutes searching for the genre and never can find it. So yeah, it's tough on that end. I want to talk a little bit about baseball stuff and like your actual training and how the game goes and stuff like that. Like, who did you train yourself, or do you have a coach growing up that like taught you? Was it in your family? Like, how did you gain the skill that you need to play in college? Because it's not very many people get to play in college, and it's
So
impressive.
thank you. Growing up, my mom put me in every camp possible. And it was always hard younger knowing what she was doing for me now because I didn't really understand it and she pushed me hard, of course, but that got me to where like I am today. And when the guys would take off days, I would be in a camp or I'd be with private training, like taking those days. So even still today, um, when they were off or like doing something, like guys are taking time, like I'll be always in the gym, like I'll always be doing something because giving those extra days that like I can like work out and get better, it kind of brings me a little closer to being equal with them. So anything, but growing up, I definitely saw tons of coaches. I can't pin it down exactly on one because I went to so many people just to learn different skills. But when I went into catching, it was we had a catching instructor there, and he was like putting the machine at like 90 and just in the dirt. And I remember being like, wow, this is catching, like this is hard, like. And he put me in with like seniors, and I was in like grade 8, and I'd be catching these pens, and I was terrified at the time. But when I got to where I was playing, it was like just a breeze.
Hmm.
So I think that really worked, like just the extra training I did and like multiple coaches, because although like some people say that you want to only hear things from one side, I got tons of different sides, and I like to really analyze different coaching, and I kind of mix them all together to get what I am now.
Yeah,
So
something that works for
I
you.
would
Yeah.
take parts because I've never really had a coach that I have disagreed with. So I take parts of every aspect that work for me, and I've kind of just like meshed them all together and created this thing. But before I left for school, I completely changed my swing, which was a huge thing for me. Like that was terrifying because uh, it was really long. Like I wasn't going to be able to hit the guys in college. Like I knew I was going to have to shorten it. So I went to Orton, and he totally changed it over like 2 month period. So I've been working on that still, but that like just changing my swing changed my game. Like shortening it up, being able to drive it to any side that the ball comes into. So, and I kind of worked on hitting like almost like every pitch because I never know what I'm gonna get, because even though I'm usually around like 6 or 7 in the order, the guys like to mess with me, especially pitchers. So they'll throw me like 3 straight curveballs or like something like that, something unnecessary in
Yeah.
the bottom half. Like one of my games, I had a coach come up to me after, and he apologized because I was just battling with this one pitcher, and they were a lot higher ranked team. They were in a different division too, and we just were playing them because their season was going to be over because of the coronavirus. And this pitcher, I was hitting like eighth or something like that, and I just kept fouling it off, and he just threw me the dirtiest curveball ever, and I think I like grounded out or something like that. And he came off and he told his coach, he's like, "Why'd you tell me to throw that? You're so mean. Like, why would you do that?" Because I guess he was calling pitches. Like, I didn't want her to hit off you. So they'll like do it and like try to like save their pitchers or their players. So they'll like purposely try to make me look bad, I think. I have to be ready for that.
Of course, of course. It's like a brother-sister relationship.
Yes, for sure.
Um, have you noticed being in college that, like, you mentioned the swing changes and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference in the swings that that you are able to take and the contact you're able to make off the ball versus like some of your other teammates? Do you hit the ball as hard, as far, like, or is there a difference there?
So mentality wise, I'm more of a base knock hitter. Like I know I'm never going to be a super power hitter. I can definitely hit the ball far when I make the right contact spots, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone. But I'm not going up there looking for triples. Like I'm going up there, move guys over. I'm going up there to get it through. I'm mostly like a kind of like place it like through to the outfield kind of thing, like line drives, hard ground balls through the gaps. So just knowing what my position is, I think that helps me out. Like I know going into it, like I'm not there to hit a home run. I'm not the team
Yeah,
ringer for that. That's not my job. I'm there to get on and move guys over.
yeah. And you played softball a little bit growing up. Was there a difference in a softball in the swings you have to take for a softball pitcher, and for baseball? I've seen. I know a couple different softball players. I knew the softball team at UCLA, and watching their swings, like they have to optimize their movements for the balls coming up instead of down. And they got to be a lot quicker because reaction time is crazy. Like, did you notice a big difference in what you had to in the type of swing you had to take?
Huge, huge. That's what really made me switch over, was the hitting part, because I'd be hitting like pretty well in baseball, and I could not hit in softball because going back and forth was just way too difficult, because softball swing is definitely more like flat and baseball is more like a swoop under to get
Mm-hmm.
under the ball, because the ball's coming here, you're hitting it up, and softball's kind of like rising, and like I don't really know any other things because I didn't play it for that long. But hitting was definitely the part. Like I could always keep up fielding wise. I was a shortstop in softball. That never, like, that translated pretty well. It was always the hitting part which totally like changed over. But I was always better at kind of having the arc to my swing, I'd say. So that's what helped me choose between the two.
Yeah, uppercut swings, launch angle. All the old school baseball guys would tell you,
Angle.
yeah, don't swing up on the ball, but that's exactly what you have to do in baseball. So
Exactly.
that's kind of interesting. How's the coronavirus affected like your time? Obviously, school shut down and seasons were canceled and stuff like that. How have you been handling that personally?
It was definitely a rude awakening. I had 10 hours to pack up my things and leave. I didn't even get to say bye to some of my teammates because they were all over the place trying to figure out their stuff too. I was just trying to get out of the country, so I didn't get stuck at that point. And it definitely was pretty rough because of felt like I just had gotten on a roll, and it was just like da 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 da. Okay, take 10 steps back. Now you're going home. So that was definitely hard mentally, I would say, for me, because it was like I got to this point. But I know that like I'm excited for next year. Like I'm definitely going to get back to where I was. But coming home wasn't that bad because I've had this facility to train at. So I've been able to like come in every day, hit with the boys here. I've had a few like there's one guy who pitches for the Cubs, and he's training out of here too. So he's been helping me with pitching too. So he's been helping me with my slider. So it's actually been kind of like a blessing almost too, because I've been able to kind of refine more things that I want to work
Mm-hmm.
on, like I knew weren't working or I want to get better before next year. And I'm having these like unreal guys that I'm training with because they're professional baseball players and they're getting to look at me. When are they not playing in the MLB?
Yeah.
When do they have time for me to kind of sit down? And I even started, it's my dream to do like sideline commentating kind of thing for the MLB. That's like my dream job. So I started kind of similar to you. I started like a Q&A asking kind of like some baseball questions, and so some MLB guys had time to talk to me. When is that ever kind of like a thing? Because like
Yeah.
I don't have a huge platform that I've started, so for them having time for me is unreal. I kind of am making a little bit more out of it. I mean, if in this time I really can't do much, so I'm kind of making as much as I can out of the situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's how I viewed it too. I want to compete, I want to play, but while we're not, you have development time and you can
Better.
get better at things and stuff. So I've been trying to do that as well.
It's
Um,
definitely going to be a make or break for most guys, because I know some people, or even some of my teammates in New Hampshire, they weren't allowed to leave their house and they didn't have access. Like they still barely have access to fields. So for me, being able to hit here and kind of have that a little bit more of an advantage will be good going into fall ball, because I'm heading back
yeah,
down.
yeah. When do you start up? Do you know when you start up yet?
So they haven't, there's not like fully released dates yet, but our school, we're like a private school, so we got cleared to like go in person. So it's basically like Canada is like where I'm from is like there's like it's very, very, very low risk right now. So we're able to kind of go back to normal life and I'm allowed to cross the border. So it's just kind of my choice if like something goes wrong and there's a relapse or something like that, will I be able to get home kind of things. But I'm kind of set on my dream right now, so I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Uh, Walk me through your goals, your future goals. What do you want to accomplish in baseball, school, life? Like, where do you want to take this?
So I'm hoping, well, like the whole goal of everything for me was like to inspire other girls. Like I'm doing this to kind of uh, blaze a trail for other girls. So it's kind of more simpler, I'd say, to get into college, because right now it is very difficult. Not a lot of teams want to take a chance. You have to find the right coach. I would say my dreams is to like maybe one day make it into pro ball, minor leagues, kind of like start small, maybe indie ball, play around the world a little bit. Um, my goal for my job is to work within the MLB at some point, um, whether it's maybe managing a team or doing sideline commentating, because I've always wanted to do kind of like broadcasting, that kind of thing. So I have kind of goals for that. Um, Stick with Team Canada, maybe one day get my own like brand deal, like design my own cleat or like catcher's gear, but that's like pretty far from here. Um, but yeah, that's kind of all. Finish my college season like hitting well and maybe transfer somewhere higher depending on how I play. But yeah,
Is uh is Riviera, sorry, Riviera, right?
yeah,
Um, is it a 2 year school, 4 year school,
4 year school.
4 year school?
Yeah,
Gotcha. That's awesome. I think that there's a lot to be said for that mindset. Trying to blaze a trail and do something that not a lot of other females have had the chance to do. A good friend of mine played baseball into high school, and she switched I think after her junior year to playing softball
yeah.
because everyone told her that she wasn't going to be able to play in college.
You lose a
So it's
lot of people. You lose a lot of people, and like for me, it was kind of difficult because I was writing almost my own book. Like people would ask me what I was gonna do, and I didn't know because no one's ever done it before. Look, I'm the first catcher ever position player, so I didn't really have anyone to go off of. So I hope that one day that when there's more girls in college baseball, that I'm able to provide some information or guidance, because I've been through it, like kind of I've like written the story for them, so it's like kind of like you can follow something. I'm kind of just like all over the place, like doing what I think is right. So
Yeah, there's there's no model, there's no guidelines on what that situation looks like. That's one of the best things about being first to do something. You kind of get to establish it in your own way, and you get to put your own mark on it. So I
There's
got to
def-
imagine that's something that you enjoy.
that was one of the biggest things going into it. Was the biggest pressure on me was if I don't succeed or don't make a good first impression and do something wrong, I could wreck it for the rest of the girls that want to do this. So I have to make sure that going into this, I am professional, I play the game right, I can compete at that level, and just basically my mentality is just work hard, like prove to them that like you are meant to be there, and like do the little things like the guys don't want to do.
Do you feel pressure? Do you feel added pressure for that because you're kind of, leading the way for a large group of females and in any way?
I'd be lying if I said no. I mean, there's definitely some because there's just a lot of people I didn't want to let down. Like I didn't want to let down my head coach who took a chance on me. I didn't want to let down my teammates playing, and I didn't want to let down all the girls that want to play in the future and want to play a position in college and not just pitch and maybe eventually get to the next level. Um, it's definitely faded away now that I've played. Like at first, like my first game was like everything. It felt like there was like I was holding like the world on my back, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like if I mess this up. But it kind of just comes naturally now. Like I know what to say, like I know what not to say. I know how to support my teammates. And even I've found different ways of, because sometimes like I'm not gonna lie, like I don't have the strongest arm. Like I have a strong arm, but there's a lot of college guys that have stronger arms than me. So being able to be the one that is chosen to play is like a big thing for me. So building a relationships with my pitchers. So like in high school, I took time to like sit with these guys like on the bench, and like I talked them through their pitching outing. Even if I wasn't their catcher, I knew what would calm them down. I knew what would kind of take their mind off if they were doing bad, or like what they were doing wrong, what they were sliding off the mound too much, they weren't staying back, they were doing all these things. So being able to know them so well and being able to just go to the mound. And I know some of my fellow catchers will just go up, be like, come on, man, like get it, let's go, let's hit the strike zone kind of thing. But I'd go up there and have a full conversation of what are we doing wrong? Like, or do I need to talk to this guy about what he's doing wrong, or do I need to distract him? What did you have for breakfast this morning? And so I'd
Mm-hmm.
ask different questions, and building a relationship, I got to a point where I started noticing it was working. And I had like guys on my team would be like, I want Marika to catch for me. Like she knows what I want. Like she'll keep the ball in front of her. Like she knows what pitches I like to throw. She knows what calms me down when I come out to the mound. She knows what's going to have the best outing for me. So I think that was one thing that helped me stand out, because sometimes I would say my baseball knowledge, like I'm very in tune with like where the hitter is standing, where I need to throw the pitch, what this pitcher throws best, and what I have to say to them to get the best outcome from them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That you've really embraced like the communication aspect, and that's something that gets lost. I think a lot in the face of skill development. The vast majority of youth development is all based around the skill. How does your swing look? How's your technique catching? Are you framing the ball well? What's your mechanics like on the mound? Like all this stuff. But so much can be learned and so much can be accomplished by just having the communication with the players on the field, understanding, taking time to talk. I mean, even in the big leagues, I've had catchers that, we didn't talk at all, and it was tough. You couldn't get on the same page. He was upset when I shook him off. I was upset not, having to shake off a bunch of times, and not, all the different stuff. And then I've had catchers that we talk all the time. We sit next to each other in the dugout, and then like things just go
I
so
want to
much better.
be
So
your best friend. Like I want to be your go-to. Like, tell me everything that's like wrong. Like, and I'll try to figure it out, or at least the best I can. And like I still definitely like because of that, I have these great relationships with these guys I played in high school with. Like they're my best friends. Like, and through that, like I kind of compensated in different areas. Like I would say my strong suit is blocking. I would say I'm pretty decent at framing, but as I said, throwing and quick feet is a little bit of a different thing. And so if I could compensate and make pitchers want me, then what is the coach going to say no to the pitcher that's starting
yeah,
that day? So that's kind of like you got to go from like the mindset wise.
yeah. Yep.
Help,
You've figured it out. It's a very mature way of looking at
maybe like a
things.
little bit.
What do you have to say to the next generation of girls that are looking to play in college? What advice would you give them?
Don't let anybody tell you you can't. I would say I can't even begin to tell you how many emails I sent out to asking colleges or to even take a look at my video, and it would always be like, great swing, great mechanics, but sorry, like not for us, we have catchers. Or nobody wants to take the risk, nobody wants to be the first one. So I probably sent like 300. I'd spend my days on my computer making better recruitment videos. I'd make sure my mom was, she's not the best at filming, but like she'd film everything for me. And I never gave up in the process. um, and I think like I was supposed to, I went down to this school in California to go check it out, and it didn't end up going through. There was a whole bunch of things, but I think that was like a little bit of a setback for me, and I was kind of like, maybe I'm not supposed to play college baseball, like maybe this is not it. But then having the school that I'm at now like take the chance on me, and like have a coach that is so like willing to work with me and like can see that I can do it, and like have full uh, what do you call it, like full,
Belief?
yeah, full belief in me, like that was unreal. And I would just say like, don't stop until you get to where you want to go. I think you can
That's
do
awesome.
whatever you want as long as you work hard enough and you make
Yeah.
the right connections with people and you do it professionally.
That's great advice. That's great advice. I appreciate you joining me. Before we hop off, you want to let everybody know where they can find you, social media,
Yes,
where what your platform is, and what you're trying to do with it.
of course. You can find me on TikTok. You know, I'm starting the TikTok. It's just Marika Lyszczyk,
Okay.
and it's marika.lyszczyk at on Instagram. And those are kind of the only two platforms I use. My Twitter is like a really, really long name. I'm not on there much, but yeah, I think those are the only two. But if you ever need someone to catch your pen, I'm here. I hear you go to Seattle Drive Line, so I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, when I'm up there next, we'll have to meet up. I'd love to meet up with you in person and throw a pen to you and just talk about the future and what you're trying to accomplish and what can be accomplished for all girls that are trying to play baseball and all that. So I think it's awesome what you're doing. I think it's awesome that you've been able to accomplish everything that you have personally, but also the trail that you're blazing for the next generation. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll put your social handles in the description so
I
people
can
know
send
where
them.
to find you.
Uh,
And we'll try to get you some more followers and a little bit larger
Thank you,
platform.
thank you. Instagram, please verify me. Um,
That seems to be a large complaint with a lot of people right now. Instagram's not verifying anyone.
exactly, exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate you taking the time to want to learn about my story, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can meet up and can show you what I got.
I'm looking
maybe
forward to it.
maybe
Thanks
one
for
time hit you on the momentum, like to hit
yeah,
again.
well, yeah. We'll get you out to live ABs at some point for sure.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining me, Marika.
Of course, bye.
Yep. See ya.